You've taken a wrong turn down Creep Street.
Citizens of the Milky Way, I'm Maureen Bogey.
And I'm Dylan Hackworth.
And you are listening to the Creep Street Podcast.
Oh, that's right.
Woo, that feels good, baby. Thank you so much for listening.
That's right.
Yes,
We're at
yes.
episode 40.
Can you believe that?
I cannot believe it.
It's crazy.
40 episodes.
40 episodes. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Just a quick reminder, please feel free, if you're interested, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Creep Street Podcast, Twitter at Creep Street Pod. Feel free to email us at any time if you have any questions, comments, any things like that at creepstreetpodcast@gmail.com. Also, please tell your friends, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff. And speaking of, likes and reviews, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for the work you put in. We did get some extra 5-star reviews. Woo. So fortunately, Dylan and I are still getting married.
Yes.
And my parents are allowed to come.
They are, but they're not allowed to look at me.
So guys,
or either of us.
Okay, so please, my parents, it's going to be such a bummer. Oh God, if they're there, but they can't even watch. Oh, we need a few more 5-star reviews. Okay, guys, please, for the sake of my parents being able to watch their daughter get married, please, more 5-star reviews. Dylan, is there anything else that you require?
Please.
Well, I mean, is there anything else that we could do instead of the 5-star review?
You could head on over to our Patreon.
Okay.
That's right. www.patreon.com/Creep Street Podcast. And you can help us out that way. And speaking of which, I'm going to give a little shout out to our Creep Street Elite at the $10 level.
Oh, please.
The Dream, James Watkins. The Finnish Face, Via Longfist. The Vivacious Vicky McHugh. The Notorious Nicholas Barker. The Oh So Suave Sean Richardson. The British Bonebreaker, Bex Martin. The Madman, Marcus Hall, who is also an awesome friend who him and Adam took me out for an amazing bachelor party.
So kind.
So kind. The Tenacious, Teresa Hackworth. And of course, the Heartbreak Kid, Chris Hackworth.
Wow. Thank you so much. We could not do it without you.
Could not do it without you. Once again, if you would like to join the Creep Street Elite, just head over to patreon.com/Creep Street Podcast. Now,
Dylan, why are you laughing?
Oh, goodness gracious.
What's
I
funny?
laugh to keep from crying. That's it. I only laugh to keep from shedding sweet, sweet tears.
Oh my God, that's like a tattoo.
We are today talking about the Codex Gigas, the
What?
Devil's Bible.
Oh my God, I don't really understand. But I'm ready to learn.
Lock in, lock and load. Are
Okay.
you ready for this?
Yes.
This is freaky shit.
I'm excited. I'm ready to lock
And I'm
in.
excited, and I'm excited to point out ways it connects to previous Creep Street episodes.
I love that.
I love drawing yarn. You know what I mean? I like drawing connections.
Yeah.
I'm like a detective in one of those movies. I've got a bulletin board and I've got the red yarn connecting a million different things. I'm seeing things other people can't see. I'm making connections. You know what I mean?
There's something that I have been meaning to tell you guys. It's that Dylan reminds me so much of Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind.
Right. Or Russell Crowe in L.A. Confidential.
Or Gladiator.
You know what? Russell Crowe in A Good Year with Marion Cotillard.
Honestly, let's be real, Les Mis. Dylan's like
I'm Russell Crowe from Les Mis. That's exactly who I am.
He's Javert.
Yep.
Valjean. Okay, I could do the whole confrontation, but I'm not going to. Okay, let's get back to it. What's going on with this spooky content?
Well, you see, Maureen, if let's say you were to take because I know you and I, we've talked about, God, we'd love to visit. There's many places we'd love to visit.
Of course,
One in particular, Stockholm, Sweden.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful country. It seems like a lovely place. Would love to visit.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, Maureen, if say we were visiting Stockholm and you were to walk into we were to walk into the National Library of Sweden.
Oh, okay.
There's a specific book that may catch your eye. Because this book, baby, it's not like other books.
Go on.
This 620-page book is bound in wood. It is nearly 3 feet long, and it weighs roughly 165 pounds.
Oh, my God.
But it's not the goddamn size of this book that makes it unique. You see, apparently this book was written by the devil himself.
What?
Today we are talking about the Codex Gigas, the devil's Bible. I don't even know if I'm saying Gigas right.
I know.
I think it's Gigas. Everything I've heard and read says Gigas. I always thought it was Codex Gigas.
In my head, I always have heard it Gygax.
Gygax,
but
right.
that sounds like a character from like from Bye Bye Birdie.
Oh, and just to clarify, Codex Gigas is Latin for giant book.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Sometimes it's good to be on the nose.
Well, you see, the Codex, it's believed, was created sometime in the 13th century. They think between 1204 to like 12 something. The earliest it could be is 1204, but sometime during the 13th century is when this thing was actually penned.
Okay.
Oh, and also, of course, just blanket statement, there's going to be so much I'm going to say that I'm sure I pronounce wrong. As always, not meant out of disrespect. I just don't know how to say certain things. Also, before I get too deep, let me state my sources.
Right. Let's do that.
First of all, I used an article from ancientorigins.com entitled What You Should Know About the Codex Gigas, aka the Devil's Bible, by Alicia McDermott, and Object of Intrigue, The Devil's Bible by Ella Morton at atlasobscura.com. Okay, so like I said, sometime this thing was penned in the 13th century, and it was held at the Benedictine monastery in Poldesize.
I mean, it sounds good to me.
I'm sure I'm saying it wrong. I apologize, but
we all get what you mean.
And this was in what is now modern day the Czech Republic.
Already, okay, an area that has come up in a few different episodes on Creep Street.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, it is. You're catching on here.
Oh, come on.
So what is inside the Codex Gigas?
Okay.
Well, there's a few things. First of all, there is both the New and Old Testament of the Bible, as well as a collection of other texts that speak on subjects like exorcism, but also on the inside. And like I said, later I'll get into the specifics of the text. Mm-hmm. Also on the inside, you will see a full-paged illustration of the devil. And as we continue, you'll see why many are convinced that this book might have truly been dictated by the devil himself. It is written in mostly Latin, besides a smattering of Greek, Hebrew, and a certain Slavic alphabet, which leads a lot of historians to think this person, probably whoever wrote it, spoke in many different languages.
Yeah, damn, yeah.
So here is the legend of the Codex.
Please.
How did this motherfucker come into being?
Yeah, what's going on? What's this big book doing in Stockholm?
So according to legend, the authorship of the Codex is often attributed to a monk at that Benedictine monastery in Poldesize named Herman the Recluse.
Oh, wow, what a name.
Now, the legend maintains that Herman, who was a monk there at the monastery, had committed some sort of horrible crime that went against his Benedictine vows.
The Recluse.
It was a very specific form of Catholic church. It was one steeped in the tradition of Saint Benedict. Mm-hmm. And so they don't say what it was, but he'd done something to break his Benedictine vows. And this was a bad thing. And whatever he did was so bad that it earned him a death sentence.
Yeah, that's bad.
And it wasn't just any death sentence. It wasn't just like getting hung or something like that. He was to be walled in alive behind brick and mortar to wither away and die.
Fuck.
So apparently,
that sucks.
Herman came up with an idea. What can I do to get out of this? And so apparently, as they're walling him in, he pleads with the authorities at the monastery. Listen, I have a proposition.
Okay.
I will make for you a beautiful book that contains all the knowledge in the known world in exchange for my life.
Okay.
Well, they were like, well, okay. So you see, they wanted this guy. Whatever he did, it must have been bad.
Right.
In fact, one of the authorities there at the monastery told him, hey, all right, you got a deal, friend, but there's a caveat. This little book you're going to make that has all the knowledge of the known world, You got to be done with it by dawn the next day.
Oh, come on.
You can imagine. I bet the other monks, they're kind of like snickering, looking at, maybe throwing some fives.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, suck it, Herman.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to. They know damn well he's not going to be able to get this done by dawn.
He just got.
He just got. Well, Herman, regardless, took this deal.
Wait, I was just going to say, but I bet that made Herman be like, maybe the recluse.
Hey, it's a chance.
But I'm about to
write.
Loose.
Well, legend has it that he toiled away into the night.
Of course.
And apparently, as it got upon the hour of midnight, Herman had to face the reality. He was not going to get this thing done by
Herman,
dawn.
Yeah.
Was not going to happen. And so legend has it that he turned his prayers to the Prince of Darkness.
A twist.
Well, also some sources I've heard said that he didn't necessarily call out to, apparently praying to God for help, and then eventually he just said, if there is anyone listening,
and then
if there is anyone listening, I need help. And then of course, knock, 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 it's the dirty old devil.
It's the guy.
And the devil says, okay, pal. Listen, no way in hell.
Literally.
No way in my hometown are you gonna get this thing done by dawn.
Right. That's just...
Unless you come to the man for help.
There we go.
Unless you come to the man.
Yeah, which he did. So there you go.
And in a moment of weakness, Herman agreed. So dawn rolls around. The other monks, they're ready to kill this. They're ready to seal this motherfucker out.
Oh my God, I bet they're ready to like really live and revel in this moment, being like, oh, well, I see you have not completed your task.
When the other monks came at dawn to check on Herman, they found him there with a complete manuscript.
That's right. Herman's like, don't sleep on me.
Complete with illustrations and everything. Now, of course, this is only a legend.
Right.
We don't know for sure if... Now, Herman the Recluse was actually a real person. It is a real person. We don't know if he actually wrote this thing. We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But the identity of the book's author is not the point here. It's not the great mystery. The mystery is how this work was actually completed.
Right.
From examining the book, historians and experts are able to determine that a single person scribed the Codex Gigas, including all of its illustrations.
What?
To put this into perspective, here is a quote from the National Library of Sweden.
If the scribe worked for 6 hours a day, wrote 6 days a week, this means that the manuscript could have taken about 5 years to complete. If the scribe was a monk, he may have only been able to work for about 3 hours a day, and this means that the manuscript could have taken 10 years to write. As the scribe may also have ruled the lines to guide the writing before he begun to write it, it probably took several hours to rule one leaf. This extends the period it took to complete the manuscript. The scribe also decorated the manuscript. So this all means that the manuscript probably took at least 20 years to finish and could even have taken 30.
Yet, all of this work supposedly was done in one night.
20 or 30 years?
Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, Dylan. Well, it's a legend, all right?
Like, cool it.
Maybe whoever did do it, because since they can tell one person did it, maybe whoever did do it over a matter of decades.
Right. Everyone's like, Dylan, cool it.
Everyone's
it's telling
me.
Fine.
Everyone's telling me. Everyone's in my ear. But you know what? There's
him.
one huge fault with that logic.
Tell them.
As I said, we know for a fact that whoever wrote this book did so on their own. It's clear it had only one author. But even if they did so over the span of decades, the text and illustrations in the book are all masterfully crafted. And it doesn't matter who you are, as you age, your handwriting changes. Muscle and bone wear down over time, changing handwriting as well as weakening eyesight. The work on this book wavers none whatsoever.
That did not cross my mind at all.
This does not waver whatsoever. So the ultimate mystery of the Codex is how the fuck did it actually happen?
That's crazy.
Experts have been able to determine that obviously it was one author and that it must have been done in a short amount of time. So how is that even possible? Quick side note. We've barely even talked about how this thing was bound together.
Right, yeah. You said wood?
So as we know, nearly 3 feet long, 2 feet wide, and about 9 inches thick, and weighing 165 pounds.
Oh, this is a man.
It makes sense that the Codex, like we said, is Latin for giant book, because that's what it is. It's one goddamn big book.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty clear.
Now, to make this book, it took the skins of over 160 donkeys.
Oh my God.
It is also bound with wooden boards and ornate metals.
Wait, really quick. What about donkeys?
Yes, it would have taken it because each page is also made of, it's called vellum or veal, I can't remember the name of it, but the pages are also made of donkey skin.
Oh.
So it would have taken 160 donkeys to make this book.
Jeez, that is grim.
So here is the table of contents, if you will, of the Codex.
I will.
First is the Old Testament. Next is Antiquities of the Jews by Flavius Josephus from the 1st century. Next is the Encyclopedia Etymologia, written by Isidore of Seville in the 6th century. Then there is a collection of medical works by Hippocrates, Theophilus, and a few others. And then there's the New Testament. And then there's the Chronicle of Bohemia by Cosmas of Prague, written in 1050, which was the first history of Bohemia. And then there is various writings on exorcisms, magic formulas, as well as a calendar showing the dates in which specific people are honored. And then, of course, there's a full-page illustration of the devil.
What?
And right next to it, we'll get into it, a full-page illustration of what they think is the kingdom of heaven. And we'll explain this.
Oh my God, this is wild.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to describe to you this illustration by reading from one of my sources. I think this is the one from Atlas Obscura. This is I'm going to read this directly from the source. This is describing the depiction of the devil. And
we can post it on our Instagram.
Yeah, we sure will.
The devil is depicted as a large, monstrous figure taking up the entirety of hell. He's drawn with large claws at the tip of outstretched arms, red-tipped horns, small red eyes, a green head, and 2 long red tongues. He's shown crouching between 2 large towers and is wearing an ermine loincloth. This material was probably used by royalty, and it may be a nod to the devil as the Prince of Darkness. Even though portraits of the devil were a common occurrence in medieval art, his depiction in the Codex stands out for presenting him all alone on a large page. And across from the devil is a full-page representation of the heavenly city. It is shown in tiers of buildings and towers behind red walls. Towers also project from the walls, and the heavenly city is bordered with 2 large towers, like the devil portrait. The image probably was meant to inspire the ideas of hope and salvation, and contrast with the evil nature of the devil.
Taken together, the portrait and the city probably were meant, they think, to be a reflection on what may await you at the end of your life, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
The text before the heavenly city refers to penitence, and the text after the devil is about exorcisms. So that might be a divider in the book, they think. The devil and the heavenly city are the only illustrations occupying full pages within the Codex.
Okay.
And wouldn't you know it?
Oh, God.
It's believed that the Codex is cursed, bringing with it misfortune to those who possess it.
I gotta say, I'm not shocked.
Now, there is a note in the manuscript stating that the book was pawned by the monks at the monastery in 1295 and was then located in a town called Brevnokov near the city of Prague. Centuries later, the book would find a new victim.
Oh, a victim.
In 1595, Holy Roman Emperor Rudolph II borrowed the book, of which he never returned, and he took it back to his castle in Prague. Now, Rudolph was a rather interesting guy.
Okay.
It's said that he had an obsession with the occult, and when he heard of the Codex, he had to have it.
Of course.
It's said that he obsessed over the book, especially over the depiction of the devil. It's also a recorded fact that Rudolph began to fall into a Great Depression. He withdrew from the affairs of state, focusing only on occult practices. During this time, unrest was beginning to build up amongst the people. Rudolph's ultimate failure, though, was his feud with the Ottoman Empire. He believed the only way to unify all of Christianity was through a new crusade.
Okay.
So he waged a war with the Turks that started in 1593 in what would be called the Long War. This war lasted until 1606, but by 1604, the peasantry who bore the brunt of this war were revolting, and in 1605, Rudolph was forced to cede control to his younger brother, Matthias.
Oh, okay.
So there, wrecked his career.
Yeah, that is some nasty, bad shit.
But the book ain't done, baby. The book wasn't done. The book wasn't done with that family.
I knew it.
When the Swedish laid siege to Prague in 1648, during what was the 30 Years' War, they ransacked the city. Now, remember, cut back to episode 6.
There we go.
Castle Huska. Remember, Aranto, that Swedish captain or whatnot, who was apparently into the occult. He was a real son of a bitch.
Yeah, I was just going to say that motherfucker.
He was a real bastard. This was all happening around this time. The Codex Gigas was not far away. I even wonder if the Codex ever made it to Castle Huska, because we know apparently the Nazis kept a lot of occult stuff there. Apparently a lot of... You're right. I wonder if the Codex ever made it there. Well, one of the things looted during the siege of Prague was the Codex.
There we go.
And the Swedish took it back to Stockholm to Tre Kronor Castle. See, this castle had been built in the mid-13th century, and it was where many of Sweden's historical records were kept. The castle, though, was completely destroyed when a fire tore through the building on Friday, May 7th, 1697. Most of the National Library and archives were destroyed.
Wow.
And to this day, Sweden's early history is very hard to document because of all of these lost records.
Oh my God, that's terrible.
One of the few documents that was saved, however, was the Codex Gigas.
That's insane.
It was saved from the flames when someone at the library threw it from the castle window. The binding broke when it hit the ground, and while the manuscript was saved, 10 pages were lost forever, and no one knows what was on those 10 pages.
What was on those 10?
Yeah.
What if there was some sort of explanation or some sort of answer or some sort of question?
Who knows?
That is so wild.
Another thing real quick. This is just a personal observation. I'm sure I'm not the first person to make this observation, but just on these illustrations, particularly this illustration of the devil next to this illustration of what we think is probably the heavenly city, and how the heavenly city takes up one full page and the devil takes up another full page right next to each other. I almost get a Lovecraftian vibe.
Oh, okay.
I almost see like, it's almost Cthulhu.
Yeah.
It's almost like, especially that they're when you think about it, when you close that book, that means the city and that beast are face to face. It gives me this almost Cthulhu coming to destroy, almost like a Godzilla type of.
I totally see it because it's something that
it has such an old one's vibe.
Yes. Also going off of this incredible story that you have brought forth today, I am reminded of another case that's kind of similar involving a Benedictine person.
Yes.
And the devil.
Yes, this is interesting, what you're bringing to the table. This was one of those things, it's such a crazy, scary story that I don't think that it's big enough that we could make a full episode out of, but we wanted to put it on here because this is freaky and it's in the same vein.
Totally,
as, go ahead, what are we talking about?
So, in 1676, there was a Benedictine nun named Sister Maria. Okay. Her name goes a lot longer than that, but it's Italian.
Right.
So we're gonna keep it cash with Sister Maria. So apparently one day, Sister Maria comes to, and she is just like covered in ink.
Okay.
And apparently
There's worse things to be covered in.
It was, It turns out that she, while in this wild state, wrote a very, very bizarre letter with different kind of letters and different glyphs and shapes.
Right.
And it made no sense at all. No one could understand it. And Sister Maria herself believed that Satan, I'll say it again, Satan himself,
Dear God.
took over her body and wrote this letter
This is freaky.
through Sister Maria.
I've heard about this.
Yes. It's really weird. So Sister Maria, she was in Sicily, where she was a nun. Like I said before, she was also a Benedictine nun. To be totally fair, I don't think that really has any real connection between these two. I think that's just a coincidence. So in Sicily in general, but especially for Sister Maria, because she is a nun, but also just all around in Sicily, there are very, very deep-rooted Catholic traditions.
Yes.
And apparently St. Paul preached there like 2,000 years ago or something like that. Like, so people really feel like they have this strong connection. People that live in Sicily really are very closely connected to Catholicism, or at least were at this time in the late 1600s.
Right.
But because there is such a strong belief in Christ, in that way, where there's good, there must be evil.
Yes.
And so because there is Christ, for that argument, there must be Satan.
Right.
Or, they say that the devil or Satan is sometimes drawn to places that very much are devout or believe.
Right.
The number of exorcisms in Rome is actually much higher than it is in anywhere else in the world, and as well as just Italy.
Interesting.
And you could say, is that because people that are there are more, they believe more, and so that they convince themselves that they are possessed, when in fact they really might have some sort of mental illness? Or is it the devil is more active there because there are more devout people that believe and are open to this?
Right.
I mean, it's like Annalise Michel. So Sister Maria, she was very devout. She worked hard. She was a good nun, but she felt like there was like something kind of within her, like an inner struggle. And she really felt like the devil himself was possessing her. She didn't think it was just some other demon.
Right.
She wasn't like, this isn't Zozo.
Right.
This isn't
Frank or Steve or Tammy.
But she really, really felt this way. Even though she was so devout, she had vowed her life to being a nun. Sometimes when she would approach the altar, she would just shriek and pass out. It was just some really freaky shit going on.
Yeah.
So one day in 1676, like we said before, she kind of just snaps out of it, and she thinks the devil possesses her and just takes control of her body and writes this crazy coded message that no one can understand. But the fellow nuns at the convent with her took her seriously.
Okay.
And they put this letter that was in some weird ass language that they didn't understand.
Right.
They put it out publicly, and they just were like, hey, this is the deal.
Yeah.
What do you know what's going on?
Right.
And no one could figure it out until 2017.
God, the year we met.
Yes. Wow. It's interesting that the year we met was when the devil's words were finally understood.
My God.
It's exciting. Anyway, so it wasn't until 2017 when a private company was able to use a decoding system, a program, that they had to get via the dark web. Because usually only like governments and shit have this like decoding software. But so they got it, and through this software, they have been able to decode some of this letter for the first time. Now I want to say, some people, including the people decoding this letter, say that Sister Maria could have done this herself.
Yes.
Because it's a combination of some Greek, some Latin, some Hebrew.
Much like the Codex.
Exactly.
Yep.
but there was also a lot of other things in there that weren't those things. I think it's a little bit of a, I don't know. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that Sister Maria was incapable of this. I just mean, like, isn't it crazy that someone in 1676 with no background in coding, not coding, but in making codes,
right,
could make a code that literally couldn't be cracked until there was computer software.
Yeah.
You know, that's how did she...
That's weird. Yeah.
And it's not just, this isn't just like a random assortment of letters from different languages. Like, it reads to things.
Right. Some of it was a little jumbled. Some of it kind of was incoherent. Right. But there were certain things that came through pretty damn clear.
Exactly. Some of the things that were able to be decoded are as follows. In this book, the Holy Trinity is called deadweights. Then it says,
God thinks he can free mortals. The system works for no one. Perhaps now, Styx is certain.
So did this Sister Maria, did she really get possessed by the devil and write this message?
Right.
Or did she make this up on her own and this was kind of like a hoax? Did she have some sort of mental illness?
Right.
Or was it some sort of genius that she had? I don't know.
Right.
I mean, let us know what you guys think. Yeah. I think this is very interesting.
It's such a cool story, and like we said, there wasn't enough to make its own episode, but I'm glad we put it in with the Codex because such similar, it's a similar thing.
Well, it's the similar thing where it's like there's nothing in there that says like this is definitely because of the devil. There's no one else, or there's no other explanation.
Right.
But there's a lot of weird things about these
Exactly.
that where you're like, don't really have a logical explanation.
Exactly. People get caught up on the wrong question, especially with the Codex. Why people, I think, are dismissive is because the question is not who wrote it, whether it's the devil or Herman. The question isn't who wrote it. It's how did
that even happen?
How was that task fucking accomplished?
And then same thing with this code in 1676. It's like
exactly.
Wow.
It's not about who or what. It's about how it was accomplished.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. Well, Maureen, that is going to wrap us up for the Codex Gigas, a.k.a. the Devil's Bible.
Whoa.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, if you would like to support this show, to go to patreon.com/Creep Street Podcast. Citizens of the Milky Way, my name is Dylan Hackworth.
I'm Maureen Bogey.
And this is Creep Street. Good night and goodbye.